studio at the George Washington Broadcast Center. Here's Jack Armstrong and Joe Getty. Armstrong and Getty Show.
One of the reasons why we have this terrible inflation is because the Biden administration, backed by Tim, supported a lot of borrowing and spending, throwing fuel on the fire, which has caused the price of everything to go up. Now, we have to remember, Biden said that he wouldn't raise taxes on the middle class. But if you're a family right now dealing with the grocery prices and the energy prices, certainly you feel like your taxes have gone up a lot because the cost of living a good life in this country has gone up a lot.
Approaching a railroad crossing.
Vance, he was part of a town hall meeting that Fox News put on last night. Brett Baer hosted it against Tim Ryan in that pivotal race for the Senate in Ohio. I want to play, before we comment, the rest of J.D. Vance's answer on that, because I thought he absolutely hit it out of the park time and time again last night. 34, Michael.
The other really crazy thing is that we really went to war against America's energy sector. So energy goes into everything, right? It goes into the diesel fuel that the trucks use to take our food to the grocery store. It goes into the manufacturing process. And so when you have energy getting so expensive, that raises the price of everything else as well. And so I think we get those two things under control. We stop the borrowing and spending, and we actually open up Ohio's energy market, then we'll start to bring those prices under control.
Just in general, I watched a little of that. I thought the Tim Ryan, the Democrat...
Approaching a railroad crossing.
Were a full level above the Oz-Fetterman crowd.
Oh, my God.
I mean, they're both just... They both seemed like they could be U.S. senators to me.
Right, yeah, and, you know, they compared favorably with old Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock in Georgia as well. I thought J.D. Vance knocked it out of the park. Like I said, I believe he has, like Tim Sandifer has this gift for explaining fairly nuanced Supreme Court rulings and legal doctrines in a way that the average numbskulls like ourselves can understand. I think J.D. Vance has an incredible gift for distilling his impressive intelligence down into language that we can all comprehend. I thought that description of energy, why it's so important, and why it raises the price of everything, and why declaring war on our energy sector is so incredibly unwise, and how that hits average Americans in the pocketbook. That was one of the most effective presentations of that idea I've heard.
Yeah, presenting inflation as a tax is a pretty good idea.
And just if we declare war on our energy sector, it's going to make everything more expensive. That people can understand as they are desperate to pay their bills. So that was really good. I really hope he wins. He tacked way to the Trumpy side to get the nomination in the primary, and now he's definitely back to the more mainstreamy Republican, I guess you'd say. All language is so charged these days. You feel like you have to choose your words carefully, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, what struck me from the Democrat Ryan is how much more moderate he is than what I'm used to in coastal Democrats. Just a completely different world.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. And I think he is sincerely, although, as was pointed out, he made all sorts of claims about working with the other side and being a moderate, but his voting record is way of Democratic oil. You Ohioans, you figure out who you want to vote for and go ahead and vote for him. Meanwhile, in Pennsylvania, speaking of Oz and Fetterman, the phony bum, and you are so right. You're the first person I heard say this, that the stroke may be the best thing that happened to Fetterman, electorally speaking, because it was such a distraction from him being a useless bum all his life, a couch-surfing, trustafarian, do-nothing bum.
Oh, it's just horrifying that a guy who has accomplished as little as him might be a U.S. senator.
God, he's accomplished nothing but living off his parents' teat and then the taxpayers' ample teat as well. Terrible.
Oh, collective teat.
Here is Fetterman at 37. Yes, that's right, Charles. The great Charles Krauthammer there. 37.
They believe that I'm fit to serve, and that's a point that was compatible, made in June, and compatible here just in October. And I choose my real doctors, composed to some of the criticism from like a real Dr. Oz, that's just trying to weaponize somebody that just had a stroke.
Yeah, the fact that race is as close as it is
shows you what Dr. Oz is.
The most revealing poll that I've seen recently was that when you look at, they polled a bunch of swing state voters, Ohio and Pennsylvania and Georgia and Nevada or Wisconsin, all of the close races. The results were strong that I'd prefer to see the Republicans take the Senate. But quite a number of people said, but I can't vote for this specific Republican. Sorry, you gave me too junky a choice. Interesting. Our primary system is broken, but, that's a conversation for another day. Speaking of hot issues in the mid-times, I was struck by a couple of different stories. Number one, Stacey Abrams in Georgia running against Brian Kemp for governor, and Kemp's going to win, but she has gone full-on woke in terms of crime, in a desperate plea to get, her woke brethren and sister out to the polls. She declared, that's right, so Kemp mentioned that 107 sheriffs, like all of the sheriffs in the state, had endorsed him. And she says, I'm not a member of the good old boys club, so no, I don't have, listen to this, 107 sheriffs who want to be able to take black people off the streets, who want to be able to go without accountability. Oh, my Lord. Wow. So the moderate Kemp is secretly he's a Klansman, clearly. And he's backed by 107 sheriffs who want to be able to take black people off the streets. Well, I suggest if they're black people who committed crime, they ought to be taken off the streets. Same as white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, and Martians if they do invade. And a number of sheriffs lash back. I don't care as a sheriff, what color your skin is. We take an oath to serve and protect. I have never done anything to tarnish my badge, et cetera, et cetera. So she is going down in a flaming ball of desperation, in my opinion. Meanwhile, the state I mostly claim as my home state, Illinois, it's where I grew up, is racing to the bottom. Financially, ethically, politically. Illinois is a hole of corruption and bad governance. And most people don't realize it because it's not a coastal state. You don't have the mainstream media living in it. A mobster has been running their state legislature for decades, Michael Madigan. The woke urban vote outweighs the rest of that giant and wonderful state. You take a look at Illinois, it's a sea of red with a couple of blotches of blue. But all the good folks in Illinois get outvoted by the urban folks time after time. And the reason I bring this up is they've got this incredibly dishonestly named Safety, Accountability, Fairness, and Equity Today Act, the SAFETY Act, which will turn Illinois into California. So-called criminal justice reforms. Provisions include ending cash bail, limiting how judges determine whether defendants are flight risks, allowing defendants under electronic monitoring to leave home for 48 hours before they can be charged with escape, and many other things. Of the 103 state attorneys in Illinois, 102 oppose the law as it stands. And more than half of those have filed lawsuits since Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the legislation into law last year. So it's already in effect. And so the state's attorneys just came out, Illinois, the Association of Sheriffs came out and says, hey, cops and state's attorneys, you're going to have lots of Illinoisans have to take the law into their own hands. Much fun. For instance, people taking garbage bags and cleaning out a Walgreens in San Francisco, running into stores in L.A. and sweeping all the leather jackets and punching the clerk in the face if he dares intervene. What do we find out? The number of car thefts in Portland has quintupled in the last 10 years, something like that. So they're saying, hey, Illinoisans, if you want to keep your stuff, you're going to have to protect it yourself. And so the Sheriff's Association is saying, hey, prosecutors, you have to understand, let people protect themselves and their families. Don't be overzealous prosecuting people who have to, quote-unquote, take the law into their own hands. So, Illinois, brace yourselves.
The Federal Reserve is meeting as we speak. Going to raise interest rates, that's known. What does that do to the average mortgage? A couple of numbers for you that will stick in your head. Whoa! If you were thinking about moving, and not